Hello students, this is Veena, Assistant Professor in the Department of English, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. Today we are going to learn about the importance and the role of the punctuation tools and their role in the language. Today we are going to understand how the punctuation marks are going to play vital role in the enhancement and building the structure of your sentences while writing as well as your oral communication. We tend to think that it is only the written communication where we usually use the punctuation marks. We generally have that notion that while when we are speaking in oral language, we don't use those punctuation marks. But it is important in the same way as it is important in writing. It is also important in the oral communication to use proper punctuation expression. With proper punctuation expression, the meaning will be rendered in a right way and in an appropriate and accurate way. If you are not using the punctuation mark whenever and wherever it is needed, it will change the meaning of your sentence and sometimes it may place you in the danger. So, today we will try to understand the significant role played by the punctuation marks in the English language. Let us get started. Here, the use of punctuation marks can be very complex. Why is that we are using the term complex here? That is, it is very tricky. It is very tactful. We must have that knowledge and awareness about the punctuation marks when we are using them. Try to understand the necessity and try to understand the role of the punctuation mark while you are communicating with others. With proper pauses, with proper spaces, it is the language which will look effective and also communicative. So, try to understand the relevance of using the punctuation marks and also try to integrate proper and accurate punctuation mark whenever you are talking orally or verbally or in the way of the written communication. Each punctuation mark can be used in many ways. It's not that a punctuation mark is stuck to only one rule. It can be used in many other ways. It has diverse way of usage. So, you must be aware of that diverse usage of the punctuation marks such that your communication becomes more effective and also very qualitative in terms of rendering the information or providing the message to the others. Then, here are the punctuation marks that are mostly used while writing and most typical way. What are the ways they are used? Let us try to understand these different kind of punctuation marks we generally use in our day-to-day written communication as well as provide that expression in the oral communication. Maybe in the oral communication, you are not completely showing off that punctuation, but in the way of putting forth your expression, in the way of taking the pauses, in the way of ending up a sentence while talking to others shows your knowledge over the punctuation. And this knowledge over the punctuation will make you stand very, very different and unique among the other group of the people. Now, let us try to understand the different kind of punctuation marks and their essence and their usage in our day-to-day life such that it becomes very, very authentic and also make our communication look qualitative and accurate according to that situation and time. Now, let us see what are the different kinds of punctuation marks. First one, it is period. Period, we call it as full stop, isn't it? Use a period at the end of a declarative sentence. What is a declarative sentence? A declarative sentence is the statement which we make, isn't it? A sentence which states an idea, which states an thought, which state an expression. So, we are going to use the period at the end of a declarative sentences. Declarative sentences can be of different expressions, thoughts, ideas. The way you put forward to show your expression, to show your thought, to project your idea in the way of a declaration is called the declarative sentence. So, you will be using this punctuation mark at the end of each declarative sentence to give a closer to that particular sentence. That was a wonderful movie. Here, you're declaring, you have already seen a movie and you're saying that was a wonderful movie. You declared it with a full stop. You cannot just not use any punctuation mark and go on talk. It will look clumsy and incomplete. So, for every declarative sentence, there must be a full stop, that is period. Use a period to end an abbreviation. You use a period to end an abbreviation too. For example, I think that Mr. Williams is a great teacher. Now see, what is that you are declaring about Mr. Williams? He is a great teacher. I think that Mr. Williams is a great teacher. See the way I'm not writing. See the way I'm ending up that sentence. I'm ending the sentence with proper period, with proper full stop. What is the sentence? I think that Mr. Williams is a great teacher. See the way I'm expressing it with a period. This is the way you have to learn in the oral communication how to put forward the end of a sentence with a period. Now, question mark. Then we comes to the question mark. Interrogative sentence. What are the interrogative sentence? That which question other person about any kind of element, any kind of message, any kind of information. When we are about to question someone, those kind of sentences are called interrogative sentences. So, we will use this question marks to denote its necessity of questioning format at the end of each question. Now, for example, use a question mark at the end of an interrogative sentence, a sentence which asks a question. Here, you see into some examples. Did you like that movie? I'm asking you, did you like that movie? In a question, there is a question expression on your face. While oral in written format, it is very easy to put it with a question mark and say that it is a question. But the way you integrate those punctuation in your speaking ability, in your oral communication is the challenge. How is that you're going to put forward the expression of a question mark while you are talking to others is very important. While you are ending up with a period, there must be a proper pause. If you are ending up with a question mark, there must be an expression of question mark. So, all these elements will surely make you look more brighter and different from others in the group while you are communicating. The strategy, the tactfulness, the skill, what you are presenting in the way of projecting your communication will surely enhance your ability and expose your personality in front of others. So, you should learn how to use this punctuation, how to make the expression of this punctuation marks in your day-to-day communication. When will you visit your moms? That may be if you are in hostel, when will you visit your moms? Where do you live? Where do you live? Where shall we go? Where shall we go? See the way you're questioning the other. There must be an expression. You cannot say a question format of question in a way of declarative sentence. Where do you go? You don't have any expression there, isn't it? Where shall we go? The way we express it through the question mark is the most important thing. The need, the necessity of us to introduce punctuation marks in your grammar is that we want you all to understand the relevance and understand the way you use your punctuation marks in delivering your speech or your presentation or any sort of thing which is very, very essential in the perspective of your professional growth. Now, why haven't you started studying? See the way I question. Why haven't you started studying? When did you finish your school? Where in the world did I leave my phone? Where in the world did I leave my phone? See the way. Who do you love? You can tell us. Whose book did you bring me? Isn't it? These are all the question mark format sentences which will give an expression of a question mark. So, while oral communication, you're going to project that expression when you are asking a question to the other person. Now, comma. We usually use these commas in the wrong way. Many a times, people who know also commit mistakes in the way of using commas. But you should know where to use these commas. If not, if you're using them in the wrong place, it will change the meaning of the sentence. So we must be very careful when you're using these commas in our speaking or even the writing skills. Now, the comma is the most useful and common punctuation mark in English, isn't it? We every now and then use this comma to project a pause, to fill a gap, to give a gap among a expression between some sentences. We are going to use this comma. It has many important roles in making written form of English easy to read. Specifically, when it comes to your written form of English, this comma will play vital role. It will help you in exaggerating, in describing the elements of the communication in writing more effectively. That is where we use these commas very now and then and often maybe sometimes to express our thoughts, our ideas in a very meaningful and in a tactful, stepwise, logical manner. Then, commas usually add breathing scope for the readers in the sentences. That is, breathing scope is taking a gap, a pause. Isn't it? Taking the gap, giving a pause in between the sentences is done with the usage of the punctuation mark, comma. So that their thoughts cannot get all jumbled up. To avoid the disturbance, to avoid the clumsiness, we are going to use this comma in order to split the notion of the idea of each sentence when we attach two or more sentences. So, the usage of comma must be learned in a very skillful and a tactful manner. The wrong usage of comma will place you in a very dangerous zone. So, try to understand its essence. Try to understand the way it is used to project its essence. Here, comma between two independent clauses. Now, what are the areas which you are going to use comma? Here, you are going to use comma between two independent clauses. What is a clause? A clause is equipped with both subject and an object which can stand by its own. It can stand independently in a sentence. Now, usually a comma separates two independent clauses when they are connected by certain coordinating conjunctions. Mostly these sentences which are connected with coordinative conjunctions, that is and, or, nor, we generally tend to use this commas. However, if the clauses are very short, no comma is needed. Depends on the lengthier or the way you're going to project the meaning of that particular sentence, you're going to use comma. If they are not lengthy, if they are short, you neither use any comma or any kind of punctuation mark there. You can just give out your message without any pause. But if it is a long sentence, if you have to take a breath, if you are going to take a pause, you have to use this comma. Example, they finished dinner in pin drop silence. But Alex knew that he would have to apologize. See the way it has read. For example, we will just remove this comma. Now, shall we try to read it? They finished dinner in pin drop silence, but Alex knew that he would have to apologize. How clumsier, how lengthier the sentence is, isn't it? But when you are using a comma, taking a breath in between, it is clear and precise in rendering the message. Now let us try to read it with comma again. They finished dinner in pin drop silence. But Alex knew that he would have to apologize. Isn't it there is a difference? Again, one more. I wanted to watch a movie after dinner, but I could not tell her as I was confused about her reactions. If without comma we are reading, how can we read this? I wanted to watch a movie after dinner, but I could not tell her as I was confused about her reactions. Is the expression portrayed? Is it rendered? Isn't it clumsier? So, if you are using a comma with the effect of using one comma, you can very nicely show the description, render the meaning which is needed for that particular sentence. We will try to read it once again with the usage of the comma. I wanted to watch a movie after dinner, but I could not tell her as I was confused about her reactions. See the way? With one comma, there is a lot of difference which is made to that sentence. So, try to understand, try to take up these pauses and fill those gaps with authentic punctuation marks, not only in the written script, but also in the oral presentation, oral speaking skills, what you do in your day-to-day life. They will surely help you in making your communication more and more better and also effective. Here, commas. Comma after introductory clauses, phrases and expressions. We tend to use these commas mostly after clauses, phrases and introductory sentences. Now let us see how we are going to use it with expressions. Commas are used not only between independent clauses but also after introductory clauses and phrases. Some expressions and connectors which are placed at the beginning of the sentence also require a comma after them. So, some introductory sentences require comma to specify the difference and the connection between the other. So, it is needed to put forward the expression of the sentence. That expression is more important in the way of rendering the meaning of that particular sentence. So, we generally use these commas after the introductory sentences. Now, let us look into one example. If you take off your jacket, you will catch a cold. If you take off your jacket, you will catch a cold. See the way the comma is playing the role. Without comma, if you take off your jacket, you will catch a cold. It is clumsy. But if you are using a comma and trying to read it once again, if you take off your jacket, you will catch a cold. The expression is rendered. You are going to express your feeling or concern towards the other person. You're going to tell it with a pause. Take a breath. Don't look clumsier. Don't make the sentence clumsier such that the other person don't understand your expression. Language is the way of your expression, of your personality. So, to portray your personality in a very good way and show your expression towards other person, it is very important to minutely understand the details of the expression in the way of communicating that language. For that, we need all these rules to be addressed in the way of learning our language. Maybe in the beginning, it will look tough and hard. It may look tedious job. But once you start understanding about the rules, once you start practicing all these things, it will become very, very easier, and also you will have that command over the language, and such that you can communicate with others in a very effective and very appropriate manner which it is required to be. Next. Now, here, being insulted. Now, see this sentence. Being insulted, the piper went to the hill. If I'm reading this sentence without a comma, just try to understand. Being insulted, the piper went to the hill. Is it rendering the expression? No. Being insulted. I'm taking a breath of pause here. Being insulted, the piper went to the hill. What is the expression? He felt bad there. Being insulted, he felt bad, so he went up the hill. So, the way of expression, the way you put forward the sentence in front of the other will surely render your expression towards that person, your concern towards that person, isn't it? So, we have to very minutely understand this difference of rendering the sentences while talking to other people, especially when it comes to oral language. This is very, very important, which all the students have to remember. Punctuations not just play a vital role in your written communication, they also play a vital role in your oral communication, that which is very, very important to you all. The way you express your expression towards others, the way you coordinate your ideas to others with proper punctuation, with proper accent and with proper expression is more important, and that can be catered only through the punctuation, knowledge of the punctuation marks. Then, note, a good way to clear the confusion about commas is to read the sentence aloud to make sure whether there is enough pause taken or not for using a comma. This is a small tip which you all can remember. To understand the essence of comma, you can read out the sentences aloud to understand whether the breath taking, the pause is enough or not, whether it is suiting to the need of that particular situation and the sentence. Now, series comma. Now, what is the series comma? In a sentence, we go on use comma in the way of series to segregate the things, to segregate some items, isn't it? Now, look into these examples. Commas are used to separate multiple items of the same category in a series. If we are going to use multiple items of same category, we will use this commas. For example, we brought pizzas, burgers, chocolate and a chocolate cake. See the way I am trying to use the expression of these commas. I am not reading it. We bought pizzas, we bought burgers, no. What is that expression I am going to do it here? Create that. I have bought same categorical items from a place. What is that way? How is that? Shall we do it once again with an example? We bought pizzas, burgers, chocolates and a chocolate cake or tour. Isn't it clear? Isn't it rendering that essence of your message to the other person? Of course. So, you should try to put forward that expression in between your lines while communicating with the other person. Then, the batsman set up his pads, put on his helmet and played a good knock. See here, the segregation of the equipment which was used by the cricketer. What is that? The batsman set up his pads, put on his helmet, and played a good knock. Isn't it meaningful? When we are giving out or reading out the sentence, we have to take the appropriate gap which is needed here, such that your language gains that expression which is very, very essential for you all in the way of effective communication skill. Here goes. Comma before tag questions. When you tag question, we use a comma. Let us look into this. Commas are used before tag questions, which is usually a reassuring statement. That is, we make a statement and we tag a question mark after that statement to assure whether it is right or wrong. Now let us see here. They are ready to go, aren't they? They are ready to go. I know that they are ready to go, but I want to assure whether it is right or wrong. So how is that I am going to express it? They are ready to go, aren't they? Isn't it? They'll never do it, will they? He loves you, doesn't he? He loves you, doesn't he? You cannot read it as a line. He loves you, does he? Doesn't he? How will it look? That looks different. The way you give a pause between the lines will surely give that essence and the meaning to that particular sentence. Here, comma in direct address. How is that you're going to use comma in the direct addresses? Commas are used in vocative uses. Calling someone by name or directly referring to them requires separation by commas. For example, you see, hey, Joe, what are you doing? See the way of difference. To call him, I am using a gesture along with his name. Shall we repeat it once again? Yes. Hey, Joe, what are you doing? Isn't it? Listen, Lee, you have to bowl well today. You know, kid, when I was your age, I used to go out a lot. See the way of difference in giving pauses while you are taking a breath in between the lines to segregate the meaning. If you read this line without any comma, how will it look like? It looks so clumsy. You know, kid, when I was your age, I used to go out a lot. How does that look? How is that expressing the real expression of that person who is talking? But if you are using the commas and giving pauses, how will that look? Let us try it out. You know, kid, when I was your age, I used to go out a lot. The way it is expressed, the way we render it with proper pauses, that is the most beautiful essence which can be created by the punctuation marks and especially commas. So try to use them in a very effective and a beautiful manner such that your communication becomes more authentic and useful to the others. Comma for adding non-essential ideas and non-restrictive clauses. Now let us see what is it. Commas can be used to add non-essential ideas. The ideas which are not essential can be added with the usage of commas in the sentences, or facts in the form of words, phrases and clauses into a sentence. Usually, removing these ideas from sentences does not affect. Though if you remove this part of the commas cannot affect, but it gives that authenticity to that particular sentence when you use those commas in front of those non-essential ideas of the sentence. Now, let us look into it with some examples. There is a palace in London, just across the river, where I visited last week. See, there is a place in London, just across the river. Now, just across the river, though if you're not using it, this sentence can stand alone, isn't it? There is a palace in London where I visited last week. Can this sentence stand by its own? Of course it can stand. This is non-essential idea. But still, it is giving that worthwhile meaning to that particular sentence at that particular time. See the essence in reading it. There is a palace in London, just across the river, where I visited last week. Now see one more. The new player, you know him, scored a brilliant century. This is also non-essential idea, isn't it? You can just say the new player scored a brilliant century, isn't it? But we are using this, you know him. That is, we are referring to the idea of the other person knowing him. Though it is not essential, it is providing that essence to the meaning of that sentence with the worthwhile usage of the punctuation. Then, I suggest, if that's okay, but that you let him go. I suggest, if that's okay, that you let him go. If that is okay, you can let him go. See the way, see the magic of that pauses which can be created with the commas. So, don't be in a hurry to deliver your speech. Don't be in a hurry to render your information in fast-paced tone. Try to take those essential pauses which will create the beauty and make it more accurate in the way of understanding it to others. Now, commas in names and dates. We generally use commas in names and dates. Now, let us see it. Jefferson, Missouri is one of the biggest cities in the world. In the names of the cities, places. Brisbane, Queensland is a big city. So, we are using the commas here to segregate the places. Give the difference between these two places coming together and the way of the same categorical element there. They were married April 5th, 2013 in Melbourne. Isn't it? No comma is necessary only after month and day. Isn't it? He was born June 24, 1993 in London. This is the way we use in separating names and names of the places and dates with the usage of comma. Then, commas in a dialogue. How is that we are going to use commas in dialogue? Commas are used in a dialogue to set off the indirect speech. The speech is indirect. The speech which is direct, it is represented in the quotes. The speech which is indirect, which can be used here with the punctuation. Now see, I told him, don't go there. I told him, take a pause. Don't go there. So, this is the word which was used directly and we are replacing it in the form of the quotations. But to segregate this difference of you telling about somebody's statement is worthwhile with the usage of a comma. For example, when we were going there, she said. When we were going there, she said. Who said? Not you. She said. What did she say? When we were going there, we saw thousands of palm trees. She said that she saw thousands of palm trees. This is a direct speech. To segregate the difference and give the pause and make it understand to the other person that it was the statement told by some other person, we are using a comma here. Isn't it? Next. Please give me that ball, said the boy. Please give me that ball, said the boy. See the way the expression is used here. What did the boy say? This was the statement made by the boy directly. We are using the same statement used by the boy. But with the usage of a comma, we are again saying that it is the boy who said this statement. So, in this way, we are going to use the comma here. Then, common mistakes with commas. Now, till now, we have spoke about what are the ways, in what ways commas were used. I am exaggerating it and exclusively giving the description of the commas in this particular video, because this is the most important element in your punctuation marks, which you all have to practice very well. That will surely help you in enhancing your communication skills more and more better. Now, common mistakes with commas. Commas do not separate two verbs. What are verbs? Action words or verb phrases joined by a coordinator. For example, look here, sentence. I cleaned and painted the box. Cleaned is a verb. Painted is also a verb. Now, how can we write? I cleaned and painted the box. Here we don't need to use comma. We can directly use a conjunction, connective word there. Isn't it? That is wrong usage. Isn't it? Next. Commas do not separate two nouns, noun phrases or noun clauses which are joined by a conjunction. The nouns which are joined by a conjunction cannot be used a comma. For example, here you see, my coach and our board president both sent letters. Here, what is the need of the comma? There is no need. We are not giving any pause, because both my coach and our board president both sent letters. We are just making a general statement with the usage of a connective conjunction. Next, subordinate clauses do not need commas when they are joined by a conjunction between them. When two clauses are joined with the help of a conjunction, we are not using any comma there. For example, I'll be late if you don't let me go now. Here see, I'll be late if you don't let me go now. And what is the correct form of it? I'll be late if you don't let me go now. If you don't let me go now, comma, I'll be late, no need. You can use this sentence, I'll be late if you don't let me go now. So, you're not going to use a comma between two subordinate clauses. So, these were some of the errors which you commonly commit when you're using the punctuation marks. There are many more punctuation marks. We will talk about them, try to understand about them in our next video. But try to understand the essence of comma. Try to understand the essence of punctuation marks, not just in the way of written communication, but also in the way of your oral communication. They play vital role. So, try to practice, adapt such that your communication becomes more beautiful and also accurate with effective communication skills. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.